Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and we have an outstanding show put together for you that's going to fill up 2 hours of your Friday morning. And guess what? It's all about gaming and no shenanigans. And you know what? Even better than the topics that I spent a couple of hours putting together for today's show, the cast of characters that I have on today's panel are some of the best, some of the brightest, and some of the most awesome community members that I personally know, and they're here to hang out with you for 2 hours. So let's get into the introductions, and we'll start with my very good friend. You know him as the trophy hunting, PlayStation representing good guy that we know and love. Please welcome BitCloud Gaming.
What's going on? Good morning. Good to see everybody. Let's go ahead and knock this out the park.
Yeah, well, listen, dude, it's great to have you on. Today, we're going to be talking some Sony, we're going to be talking some Microsoft, and a few other really interesting topics. Next up, you know him as someone that loves the game Bloodborne. You see, I did that for you, Joe. I threw Bloodborne in there, and we
coming to PC.
Yes, and we have heard possibly coming to PC, and that's going to be good for a lot of gamers who want to see this thing running at 190,000 frames per second while it's on. But you know what, Joe? Thank you so much for being here. You are now a part of Breakfast with Boom, and you know what? You've made drinking this morning coffee even better. Welcome, dude. Mr. Bad Bitch.
You're right, because they've been saying it since the game release 1,902 days ago. Okay, that one was off my head. I'm very proud of that one.
Oh my god!
Let's bring this baby to PC. Let me play in the 60 frame. You enter old Yarnum, and it's just like a picture book. It's just like you can't. The frame rate just dips when you get into that smoke. With that said, I'm very happy to be here today.
Well,
as I wait for Bloodborne on PC.
Well, you know what? It is we're glad to have you, and we know that because you have a rig of sorts that you will be playing Bloodborne on PC when we get the official release date. But let's continue with the introductions. Next up, the newest member to, of course, Breakfast with Boom. You know him as the raspiest voice in gaming talk. He's a chainsaw holding and cutting kind of a dude. Please welcome Crispy Bomb.
What's up? Good morning, everybody. Crispy is well caffeinated. I've been up since 8 o'clock in the morning, so I am wide awake. I am ready to roll. We got some great topics to get into.
Well, thanks again for being here, dude, and it's great to have you a part of the Breakfast with Boom family on a weekly basis, so thank you for that. Next up, you know him as the smooth-talking voice of the Vitamin G podcast. He is also someone that's not afraid to let that pimp hand slap down community members that deserve it. Please welcome FC Violence.
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. It's been a while. I'm glad I'm back, and I can't wait to get to these topics.
Well, listen, dude, it's great to have you on. And of course, obviously, having you a part of today's show isn't super important to me because we are not only brothers, but I enjoy talking games with you. And yes, it has been a while since you've been on the show. So welcome to the show. And of course, last and in no way least, you know him as King David. You can address him as Your Highness. And he's also the powerful voice on the Iron Lords podcast on Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. Please welcome King David.
Oh, what's up, guys? I can't sleep in the morning when I know I'm going to be on Breakfast with Boom. I come in from work, I'm like, what the hell can I do to kill these hours? So Assassin's Creed Odyssey had my soul.
Yo, same.
How many hours you in? How many hours?
Have fun. Take it for someone who platinumed the game. You have a lot of hours.
I got 2 more trophies left, and that means and I'm guessing about like 3 more hours.
Nice.
Okay, yeah. I have 126 hours. I'm nowhere near finishing the game. I got the majority of the map done. All the question marks are almost gone. So I just pick a spot and I say, okay, today's the day that I'm going to clear out all the question marks on this board, on this map. And I do it, and I try to find all the little secrets that on my own without even going to YouTube or anything. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
And that's rude me. I like if I get
creatures.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I killed one ogre. Well, actually, two ogres. I killed two ogres. I killed Medusa, and I killed the Minotaur.
The Minotaur fight is awesome.
Yeah,
that's
really good.
He looks great.
I like their spin on Medusa though. Medusa's spin was pretty cool.
It was
you get that weird dark forest. And it's all
Yes.
stone. I like that dark twin.
I'm gonna say I have you trumped.
You have fun.
I have 440 hours.
What?
440 hours. Yes, 19 days in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It is one of my favorite games of the generation, and I could have easily dropped another 20 or 30 into it just looking for things. I think I have almost all the achievements. I think except for 2 or 3 I'm missing.
It's a shame. Valhalla is supposedly shorter and is missing more content.
Well, I feel okay. Only way I can attack that and understand it is because every time I hear people talk about Odyssey, it's two camps. It's one camp that says I was overwhelmed, and then there's the other camp that says this is the greatest game I've ever played in my life. I'm in the other camp.
I mean, again, like Black Flag Black Flag was really, really good. I like the naval aspect. A lot of people said that they wanted more. For example, they wanted to do more underwater missions.
Yeah.
And then they didn't way too much.
They didn't give like 2 levels that's underwater. So they would have like the pirate theme. I think that narrative probably wouldn't even exist, to be honest. They had that.
Yeah. It's one of the great franchises that we've seen get a resurrection.
Mm-hmm. It's one where like I picked Cassandra, and the voice actor, she is fantastic.
I'm so sick and tired of this. Okay, all right. So let me address this. Let me address this.
Are you an Alexios guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me give you the reason why.
He seems better like a villain though. The end though, to be honest with you.
Okay, there it is. That's it. It's 2 camps too. This game is so divisive. Okay, so the Cassandra dudes, and I hear your Cassandra dudes, and they're always. I feel so small when y'all talk to me.
Really?
Spit.
They keep dying.
Poor King dying.
Trying to take me out.
That is what happens when you start catching.
Somebody Thanos stabbed David.
They send an assassin. I'm going down.
You see that? He just flew in the background like a ninja.
Sure, Boom doesn't feel too good.
Well, you know what? As King gets himself back together from nearly suffocating live on the air, because we need King. We need King in the world, more or less this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Let's get into the first topic. He's gonna take a minute. Poor King.
He forgot Violent. Did Violent do the intro?
Yeah,
you got mine.
Yeah. I believe I got everybody's, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes. He definitely don't want anybody.
I was almost dying. I had to drink a bunch of water. Oh, God.
Oh well, listen. You know what? Let's move on to the first topic, and it's a good one, and it's one that I think that King is going to want to talk about. So we'll give him a minute. But many in the gaming community have in recent years called into question Phil Spencer's motives when turning around the Xbox brand that basically saw an entire generation get dominated by both, of course, the Sony PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Now, in late 2017, Phil Spencer was promoted. And from the minute he took over head of Xbox, there was a shift in ideology. And that included focus, ideology, once again, investment, and the most important, commitment to the millions of fans. Now, with the talk of next generation, besides, of course, the new and improved hardware, there's a huge discussion that's going on in the interwebs right now, and it's on services. And you do have a camp that says that services are super important, and they're the caveat, if you will, to a big corporation's plans for the future. And there's another camp that could honestly care less. Like, they don't think that it's important, and that's perfectly fine. But you know what? With Xbox Game Pass being the most successful new gaming service ever created and has clearly funded many of the new studio acquisitions that Microsoft has made over the last few years, there's something that we're going to be talking about today that I think King, being a businessman, is going to have a lot to say. Now, the investment is in my opinion, in this particular topic, is not only clear, but it's forward thinking. And to see that Xbox will be using Project X Cloud not only for the releasing very soon, but we now have confirmation that the Xbox Game Pass app has made its way to all Samsung TVs, basically removing you having to buy a console. And there are going to be some detractors that say, well, wait a second, I'm not a big fan of that. I want my console. And I say, well, go out and buy your console. No one is telling you not to, but at the same time, this is going to really rope in the casual market. And you know what? I'm going to say this right now. You are a Sony PlayStation owner, and it's your flag that you fly, and I'll say that's good on you for doing so. You cannot turn around and enter this conversation and say casuals don't matter, because quite frankly, 85+% of the 110 or 114 million consoles that were purchased for this generation were purchased by the casual market. And at the end of the day, we've heard that that the casuals are the majority. They're not the minority. We are, everyone on this panel, everyone in this chat, we are the minority in gaming, as opposed to the majority being the casual gamers. And if you can get a controller in someone's hand and get them paying $15 a month, like Microsoft has been able to do, and I believe we know only 10 million. I want to say that they're probably well past 15 million at this point. It's a big deal. Now, King, I want to go to you first on this, because I love that you attack these the topics when you're on the show, not only from a gamer's perspective, not only from a podcaster's perspective, but more importantly, a businessman's perspective. And when you hear that Microsoft has officially announced, in partnership with Samsung, one of the biggest TV makers in the land, that every TV that releases is going to have the Xbox app. How important is this to Microsoft financially, but more importantly, Phil's plans on getting those 2 billion gamers into the Xbox ecosystem?
Well, it all started a long time ago. Actually, that partnership with Samsung started early on.
Yes,
with the Don, to be honest with you. Early display units were showing the Xbox One with Samsung televisions, and they actually worked better with Samsung televisions with the refresh rate and stuff like that. Now, going forward, little technologies was going forward, and you would see iterations of what is HDMI 2.0 and stuff like that was being used. When they did the deal not too long ago with Samsung, I said, that's interesting. And I thought it was mainly for the phones. I really, the TVs never even entered my mind. I thought it was for the phones. Every time you got a new Samsung phone, the app will pop up and it'll have a Game Pass app. And I'm figuring xCloud will tie into that. And then you can go to their peripheral store and get like a controller, lock-on device, to play games on your phone or whatever. And I said, that's a good idea, that you can reach that 10 billion or 7 billion people that they want to reach with the cell phones, and also with the stuff that they're doing in Eastern Asia and stuff like that. Then this popped up with the televisions. And I said, wow, that is the Trojan horse. Because remember, with Sony was doing that before too, with Sony television. Every Sony television had the Sony TV app and the PlayStation Now stuff inside of it. They removed it. I don't know why they did that stuff. I think Portal Rock said his stuff still works with that app on his television. So if the competitor did it before and maybe they didn't utilize it properly, but you don't make televisions and your partners do, and you have a business with them, and this is the biggest growing service for games so far, right? Yeah. Because we have other ones like Google and stuff like that, that Stadia, that want to take that leap, and Amazon that can do it. you want to capitalize and get in while the getting's good early on investments, right? And the return on investment is very high because the adoption rate with Game Pass going into the next generation is going to probably be on a one-on-one purchase. So if you purchase a Series X in the box, Game Pass will be there. We all know that you're going to need a new television, right? So if you brought a new television, you have multiple TVs in multiple rooms, you don't need multiple Xboxes.
Right.
Your controller can go upstairs to your Samsung device upstairs. You have to think they're trying to become all over without you having to be tied to a box.
Yes.
And the way to achieve that goal is to partner with one of the most technologically sound giants that's in the business right now, with a good cachet with televisions, because the majority of my televisions are Samsung. So, of course, the logical thought is when I go to upgrade my television to an 8K television that's paired with the Series X and it has Game Pass on it, and I get my kid a television, their TVs have Game Pass, this has Game Pass, and then that home sharing device and xCloud, this is the Trojan horse on getting it in the door.
Yes.
And I see nothing but genius from this. More eyes on your product is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And it's a boon for us because as gamers, it forces Sony's hand and Nintendo's hand to say, okay, well, we got to get our apps on televisions too. We got to get our apps on phones too. We have to put more into these services. The more successful something is, this is a copycat type of business, the next people do it. When we were successful with the motion controllers, then we got the Move controllers with our PlayStation. And I love my Move controllers. So being that it's a copycat type of thing, we want this to be successful so that others can copy and we can get our devices and our stuff that we like. Let's say you like PlayStation, you got PlayStation Now on a Samsung television or whatever television or whatever phone that you're using, but you can get it in other places other than just inside your house. I think it's a good thing.
I mean, look, I'm going to say this. Again, Phil Spencer has been accused for not having the gamers' well-beings in his sights, and I think that when he started doing these moves, it was like putting together a really big puzzle, right? When you started off, it doesn't look like anything. You can't really distinguish what it is. And seeing everything that he's done to not only give gamers choice, but to open the ability to have people that normally don't game in an ecosystem like the Xbox it is basically like magic, because like I said, people downplayed how superior Xbox Game Pass it was going to be. Now it's 15 million plus strong, right? Then when you look at it from the Project xCloud point of view, you understand that right now Microsoft is selling subscriptions to Xbox Game Pass in both Japan and Korea, two places notoriously that they've always failed in.
Mm-hmm.
And they are making strides. Of course, Sony is a worldwide brand, and we know Nintendo, they're worldwide brand. So this is, what they're doing is standard fare. But what Microsoft is doing with of course Phil at the leadership position is making strides never before seen. Now, before I bring BitCloud into this, I just have to catch up on some of these outrageous super chats because there are a lot of them. First of all, Sin Vendetta, a good friend and very generous friend of the show, drops the $5 super chat. Joe, this is for you. Can we get Bloodborne on Xbox, please? No, okay.
Dude, I'd love to see that game be played on like mobile. I don't care where it is. I'll play it. I'll buy it.
I know you will. Master Clowns X3, a new channel member and also a very generous donor. He drops an outstanding $20 super chat and says, Noof is here. Epic. Crispy Bomb is the S. And if you know what that means. Thank you for not cursing. And once again, Master Clowns continues his run with generosity. He drops another $10 super chat and says, salute to the king. Thank you so much for that, dude. WR Cup Z86, a good friend of the show, he drops a $2 super chat and says, boom, how about that Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox One X? Yes, it is available. If you want the Cyberpunk console, it is currently available to purchase. Right now, I am kind of on the fence because it's $400 and I just bought the gear. So I really want it. I just have to see if the funds are going to be available to do it. Smitty Smith, a good friend, is once again bringing us back to church. He says this after dropping a $5 super chat. Hello, everyone. I will check out the KOS after the show. Stay collecting. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, brother.
Definitely appreciate that. A very good voice of the community. You know him as Enrique from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. He drops a $2 super chat and says, Malaka.
You got me. Yeah, you got me. You tried to assassinate me. I saw it.
And of course, Master Clowns, my God, my friend, thank you for your generosity. He drops an additional $10 super chat and says, Real Talk 100. Joe, I think that is for you, my friend, which of course you have become a fan favorite. But you know what, BitCloud, let's bring you into the conversation, because obviously King has said this before, and I will quote him in saying that with Microsoft, and I don't know if he actually said the teeth kicking in, but you know, the Microsoft getting their teeth kicked in this generation has made them a better company, and it's proof of it with the investment. Now, when you look at what Microsoft is doing with xCloud, when you look at Microsoft has done and continues to do with Xbox Game Pass and their 15 studios, now we see this partnership with of course Samsung, and they are one of the more, like King said, more technically advanced companies that are constantly pushing their product to be teamed up with them and to have that Xbox Game Pass available, not just for us, not just for the hardcore, but for the people that may say, wait a second, I can get this many games for $15 a month. Man, that's amazing. And I'm going to start playing with just a controller. What are your thoughts on this partnership?
Again, it just goes back to what we said before. A lot of us had a lot of theories going into their game plan, and that was Game Pass and xCloud. So now that we're here, again, it just shows that's their main focus. Now, as far as the studios, you already know that's what I really want to see. What's really happening?
Well, it's come down to the games. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I really, really care about. And we'll find out in July. Hopefully they bring it in July. That's what I really, really hope for. But aside from that, it's like, it's not really shocking whatsoever. Of course, you're going to have the conspiracy theorists every time. Every time there's something good or bad about any company, they'll go on Twitter or they'll just say a lot of ridiculous stuff in videos. Me, I have been away from this part of the social media aspect, especially during this particular time. And it just, I ain't gonna lie, I came back to this like 2 days ago. I didn't comment on anything. I just noticed, I was like, okay, wow, excuse me for saying this, but people still doing this shit in the middle of it.
No, it's the truth. You're 100% saying that.
You know? I see what we talking about where dudes be kind of like pushing it, or we looking for like those opportunists, like they look for those key moments to push something. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I had people on my timeline when I put my video out, and my video was more of a gag and a link to 4 people. It was 4 people that, it was a gag link, and it was a joke, ha ha ha. And I had a couple of people on my timeline trying to make it a political statement. Man, listen, man, get off of my timeline with this. It was a joke. It's ha ha he he's. And a lot of times you need something to diffuse the powder cake. If you don't notice, it's a powder cake. It is a powder cake, and you don't want anything. I blocked a lot of people that day. That video got 15,000 views, and I probably blocked 4,000 people.
Oh, you talking about the one with the Jay Barry one? Like you're in the camera saying PlayStation? That one?
Wait, you saw that one with the J? Okay,
I saw that because you were getting attacked for that, because now I had a weird reaction, not to that one, but it was a comment before I saw you there. I think you saw the comment I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say his name, but that particular comment he posted, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and reevaluate a lot of people on this timeline for a second. A lot of them were really pushing agendas, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Do you have? How about you have a look outside and then revalue your comment before you
Yes.
post this? Because right now it's not a good comment. You just look silly in the middle.
Yes. Yes.
And you know,
Yes. Yes.
I was threatened, by the way, David. He goes, I was threatened by the quote unquote empire. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna flag your channel. And I'm like, good luck with that. Good luck with that, sir. Good luck with that.
You know what, dude? Listen, I'll put it to this way. What I say is this: right now, the best thing about Twitter, and again, I have to shout out Wilmy Hood, who's in the chat, by the way.
Oh my God.
And he is not only one of the community's finest, but he's in my opinion one of the smartest. And I used to feel bad blocking people. I really did, because you know what? I'm very inclusive. I actually have a tremendous amount of love and respect for everyone in this community. And you give me a reason not to, right? And the one thing he told me is to he has like 27,000 people. It might be more now.
Yeah.
And he knows the number.
Crazy. Yeah.
He has 27,000 plus people blocked, and he doesn't care. And I mean, obviously he's an ex-veteran. He has a family. He has a business. He has a wife. He has a family, and that's more important. So then I started watching what he was doing, and I'm like, you know what? He always says when you'll be surprised how clean your timeline is going to look when you start blocking the assholes.
Yeah, the actual, I would say the gaming aspect really shines through when you give a lot of people.
Yes, it does.
And David will tell you, because we meet them both for like very, very big figures on these podcasts we do when we talk about stuff. And I hate to be that guy to suppress an opinion. I don't like suppressing opinions. I like to hear different opinions. It's cool. It adds a different layer to a show or whatever. However, there are some who just simply do not want to have a different opinion. They just want to be there for the sake of.
Yeah, they just want to see the world burn. Yeah,
basically, that's really it. Like Killer Mike said, they want to see the world burn. Basically,
it's
yeah. It's like dudes say, "No, I want to bring people together." I'm like, okay, cool. I said this numerous times, and yet they do the most shady stuff on Twitter. It's like, well,
you know what, dude? But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. First of all, everyone on this podcast is an outstanding and triumphant community member, and I'm going to say this right now: if you're not following any of these dudes, I say shame on you. Fix that right now. Everyone here is respectful. Everyone here has a valid opinion. It may not be your opinion. As a matter of fact, you may even differ, but understand that they have my full support. And anyone that comes onto my show will have my full support until they don't. Yep. And you know what? I mean, there are a few people I'm not going to mention. I'm not going to get into it. Right now, we're live talking about games. Disappointed me as a human being. And I'm going to be honest with you folks. Not sure if I don't think you've heard it in my demeanor, but I have podcasted this entire week with the heaviest of hearts I've ever had. And not because of the world. The world, what's going on is horrendous. I'm just talking about the disappointment that I personally have in the human being factor on some people that have said horrendous things about me. More importantly, just their overall, terrible views. But we're going to bring it back to gaming now, real quick.
I was excommunicated, remember?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people want the people just ridiculous.
David, dudes with level 5 trophy scores said I'm excommunicated from the PlayStation community because I don't play games on PlayStation.
But you only have almost 140 trophies. See, I got it right. I didn't say over 140. I said almost. I know you're close, but anything else you'd like to add regarding this partnership? Do you think that this is going to pay off dividends? Not actually financially, because we know it is, but do you think that we could potentially see more people come into the Xbox ecosystem, something that Sony did very well this generation?
So, like, you already know I'm on record. David will tell you I'm on record. I've said it. Like, before I was like, I was more strictly primarily box related, sell box. But now the economy and the way that things are going, I honestly don't see us getting back to, how you say, square one anytime.
Yeah.
And so this is actually smart for them now going through with it, especially since a lot of these TVs would probably support it. All they got to do is have a firmware update for their TVs. So I can see them actually do it. It can actually help them definitely a lot bit more, especially getting in the ecosystem. As far as like the console's concerned, again, that's kind of the bridge. I think we have that big question mark on our heads, like what's really going to happen with that, because we don't know the pricing. It's been more speculation on that price than actual like confirmation.
Right.
And so let's say hypothetically, I really think it's just 500 for Series
Me
X.
too. I think it's 5 across the board for everybody. That's what
I don't think it's 600. Like a lot of people really keep saying $600. I'm like, there's no console launching at $600. Not in this economy. It's not dropping like that. And so let's say they have a $500 console. They'll probably do the what's it called? Is it called All Access, where you pay?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be part of this, and then you'll have this new heavier push on TVs that support the app. And you can do everything, and that's probably going to be their whole shtick for the ecosystem. Remember, you have to phase out what, David? Xbox One,
Yeah,
and Xbox One X, and then you'll have this plus Series X, and I'm guessing Series S is what they're probably going to call Lockhart if it does indeed happen. I honestly think it probably will happen this year. It just, COVID-19 knocked down a lot of plans, but Series S and Series X, yeah, that's more likely.
My thing is, my opinion of it is, they launched the Series X first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before the PlayStation, to try to get a jump on that and still push the TV stuff. I truly believe that the PlayStation will launch late this year, if not late this year, early next year. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but okay.
It's safe to say, especially with targets being looted and everything, I can see it.
It's going to be much harder this holiday
than anywhere.
Goes into these stores.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you say late this year, early next year, and I believe that they put the Lockhart head to head with that to force the populace hand, because the Lockhart could be sold at a much cheaper price point. So it's like a pincer move. But regardless to what, if you're in the PlayStation ecosystem, you're going to stay controlled to your box until told otherwise, until you see that it's not a viable option for you. But if you got thousands of dollars linked to your PlayStation, you're going to wait for that 5.
Yeah, you ain't going to go anywhere anytime soon. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, no, I'm stuck.
Well, I like I said, I said this before, and I believe Joe had made mention of this, and I think we both agree. Joe, I'm going to bring you into the conversation. When you see this partnership, you and I both have the understanding that, and again, this is just an opinion, I think that we are going to see more multi-console or multi-platform homes than we've had in a very long time. And I think the reason why that is going to happen is because both consoles are going to have games that the other console doesn't have. And I'm talking high quality AAA games that you're going to want to play on your new console, on your new TV. And I think that Microsoft is going to bring themselves into the conversation. And when that happens, when you have exclusives, which I still believe sell, and I know that people are going to be like, well, you can play games on the PC. Well, guess what? A good 75%, maybe more, are playing under 4K, under 1440p, and do not have master rates. The percentile of people, the PC master rates, like a good friend of the show, Enrique and Mooch and a few others. Joe, you have one as well. Have PCs and their rigs and their $2,000 and $3,000. That percentile is minute. I'm going to go crazy and say 15% of the populace, and I think I'm being a little generous. But Joe, when you see Microsoft attacking a fan base in the casual market, something that Sony did so well through the TV app, which is as easy as just pressing a button and turning on your controller, they could really do well, not only financially, but bring more people into the ecosystem. What are your thoughts on this partnership?
Yeah, so I think Sony did it before with, I think it's Sony Bravia TVs.
Yes.
And one of the biggest issues was, if I'm remembering correctly, and again, like 4 years, or I think this was 6 years ago. It's
maybe 6, even 7 years ago. Yeah. It was a long time ago.
It's been a minute. So I think their biggest issue was lag. Because the Gaikai servers and all that jazz, right? We didn't have the power of the cloud like y'all do. Now we will. But but the thing is, and thanks to you guys, by the way, the thing is, I think what Microsoft, if we're reading the tea leaves, is doing something really smart, and it comes down to multi-platform homes. When you look back at November of last year with XO, 19, we saw one of their announcements was that xCloud would be working with a multitude of different controllers and like keyboard and mouse and all that jazz. And one of the controllers they mentioned was the DualShock, right? And they very smartly, they were like, the Sony DualShock. I'm like, what? And it's a smart move because it is them saying, okay, listen, you have a PlayStation in your house. Chances are right now Samsung is the bee's knees. It is where most people are getting their TVs, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least that higher tier TV. So let's partner with them and let's have this opportunity where, look, I'm a PlayStation guy. I have Samsung TV downstairs. I'm curious if putting on Game Pass on my TV, right? That's something that I'd be interested in. And if I can use any controller I want and play games on my TV, well, that's just another opportunity to make money. It's also another opportunity to open up a broader marketplace for your platform. And I really do think we got to get rid of or slowly yet surely at a comfortable rate, the idea of consoles, right? Because it is about platform. 5 to 10 years from now, it's going to be less and less about that box and more about how do we get on TVs, how do we get on laptops, how do we get on tablets, how we get on phones. So there's a big opportunity there to widen their Game Pass marketplace. And at the same exact time, it's also on Samsung and it's on Microsoft to make sure that people know. And it's a balancing act because you also have a new console, you also have xCloud, you also have Game Pass, how to juggle these services and promote each one. So that's the one I'm very interested in, is how they are going to promote this, or is this going to be like, a second, slide in a Samsung commercial, like how will they illustrate that for people to see so that people know? And so people do that, because there is no doubt in my mind that Sony went back to the drawing board with PS, or not PS now. Well, yes, they kind of have. We need more though.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But with remote play, we're seeing them come back to it in a different way, in a bigger way. And I'm thinking they're going to say, okay, we tried this, it didn't work, the technology wasn't there. Now with these Azure servers that we have powered by Microsoft, how can we put that on our TVs as a selling point for our TVs? I think in the beginning Sony's going to be very coy with it and very slow to put it on other TVs. I think they want to sell their TVs more than putting PlayStation everywhere. So to me, I see this as a great opportunity to build the base that Microsoft has if they market it right, and most importantly, if it runs right. Because the biggest issue about TVs, from what I'm aware, is the processors inside of them. They all suck. So as long as Game Pass is running great, and it's on certain Samsung TVs and not all of them, then we're not going to have a problem here. I think it's going to be great. But it does depend on, again, how they market it. So I'm all on board with this idea. It's awesome. I would love a future without a box. As long as everything's running great, I don't care. I do see the future one day of, like, I have my Apple TV, I got my PlayStation Now, and I got my Game Pass. And I got the controller that I want. Yeah,
I think Sony has a distinct advantage in that arena.
What, the TV arena?
No, in the app arena, to be honest with you, because when you control the product, you can dictate pace. They make televisions. Their Z-Line televisions is probably one of the best televisions that are on the market today. Yeah, that price range is a little out of whack. Yeah, that's how Samsung was able to come in and galvanize a big market, because they were selling high quality products to the lower end consumer, whereas Sony's televisions were high quality products sold at the high end consumer. You sell less of them, but the quality is crazy. But I think, just like you said, with the servers now, and they control the product, they can control the messaging. Like you said, Samsung has a marketing deal with Microsoft.
Yeah.
Sony owns Sony, so we're going to market it to death.
Yeah, and I think because I think you make a great point, because like we're a Sony TV family here. All right, we take that Samsung crap outside, but we have one Samsung TV that no one likes.
Oh wow! I've always been a Samsung dude. This is my favorite.
Yeah, I have
Same.
to respectfully
Samsung
disagree.
but real talk, I think you're right. It's just, here's the thing: Sony is Sony, and Sony also likes to mess up a lot. So, like, to me, it really depends on how the two companies within Sony talk to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Sony does have the advantage if they actually want to use that to their advantage, and that's the biggest question. Now, if I'm Sony TV, I definitely want the PlayStation brand because it's the most successful brand that Sony has.
Yeah.
So you want to market it everywhere on your TVs as much as you can. So, like, to me, yeah, I think they have an advantage, but will Sony abroad will they actually use it? I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, you pose a fantastic question, and really, what we need to hope for is that the left hand understands what the right hand is doing, and sometimes Sony can drop the ball in that aspect. But you know what? I want to bring Crispy Bomb into the conversation. Crispy, when you see this move, and you look at it in conjunction with what Microsoft has plans, we know I like to use the word investment, and we've seen they make a tremendous investment not only in having the most powerful hardware, not only having 15 first-party studios that are going to be making games. Currently, I believe there's 20 plus games being made right now as we speak. So content is coming, and it's going to be the AAA bangers that we've all been asking for. That's coming. But before I get your answer, I just have to catch up on the Super Chats once again because they are tremendously popping in. And if I miss any, I do feel terribly bad. So real quick, Regulator 951, thank you for being here, dude. He drops an outstanding $5 Super Chat and says this: we all know the more subscribers means the more great games coming to Game Pass. That's a great point. Great show, Boom and Panel. Hail King David. Keep collecting those knees. I love it. Let's see. We have DRAM 90. Thank you for being here, DRAM. Appreciate it. He drops a $2 Super Chat, says, Boom, tell Phil Avatar The Last Bender RPG thanks. I wish I could talk to Phil because I would be definitely on that list to be having one of these consoles to take home and play test, if you will. Our good friend Basement Arcade Radio Podcast, you know him as Enrique, drops an additional $2 Super Chat and says this: King, we just shipped your new set of knees. I don't know what that means. I don't think King has lost his knees yet, but we'll see.
He just, the reason what he's talking about is he just lost his knees on the Sony date. They missed the date. You lost your knees. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, we will talk about knees. We have a whole conversation about that a little bit later, especially people on the Iron Lord podcast. They'll be losing knees soon. Nightwolf 3186. Hey, dude, thanks for being here. He drops an outstanding $5 Super Chat says, it's just popping into show love. Can't stay today. I'm officially back to work. Well, I'm glad you're back to work and you're going to be making money, dude. Glad to be back. Have a fun panel. Stay safe. Love you guys. Well, we love you too, brother, and be safe out there. Sin Vendetta, a very generous friend of the show, drops an additional $10 Super Chat. Where did it go? Man, this is really freaking going quick. Okay, here we go. He drops a $10 Super Chat and says this. So I asked this on Twitter, but I wanted to ask the panel. If you were saving for both the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, how much do you think you should have saved total? I'm going to be honest with you. I think somewhere in the 1,200 mark. And the reason why I say that is because you're going to spend $5 for the Xbox, and with tax, it's almost $550, right? But you don't have to buy it. I mean, if you're going to buy another controller, you can tack on $70 there. But if you're going to be happy with just the one controller because you have other controllers that work, you're good at $550. For Sony, well, this is where we get a little tricky, because the console is going to be $500, so you figure in tax, $540 something, right? Me, I usually buy an additional controller. And with Sony and Nintendo, for some reason, I don't buy a lot of digital stuff. I like buying a lot of stuff physical. And I buy, of course, all the collector's editions. So if you're looking at Sony, you're probably going to have to factor in at least $180 and $200 after tax for 3 games, because we know nothing. They don't have a Game Pass type of service where Game Pass, everything is going into their one. So I say $1,200 to be fair. To be honest with you, I think you'd be good to go with both consoles. Adrian Fernandez, hey dude, thanks for being here, Adrian. He drops a $5 super chat and says this: Boom King, what do you guys think about Game Pass family plan for families with more than 2 Xboxes? I think that it's worth it. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, but I know that you can share consoles. I don't know if you need it, but if they're going to be in different homes, it may be something to consider. You're certainly going to be saving a couple of bucks. And Pixel Bit G, a very good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $10 super chat, says this: Samsung deal is in line with the deal they made for access to phones. Game Pass with xCloud would drive revenue. Good seeing folks talking about talking platforms now when Microsoft has been saying that for 3 years. Cheers. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Okay, Nelson Naives, if I mispronounce it, I definitely appreciate. I say I'm sorry, but I appreciate you being here, Nelson, and also your generosity. He drops a $5 super chat and says this: please explain to me how it's possible that Outer Worlds designed for the Xbox One and the PS4 can then be ported to the Switch, but doing that with the Series X is bad. I do. Listen, I don't know.
Anybody saying that bad? No, I think it's good.
I think it's fantastic. I think
it's great.
A win for everybody. 108 Dragons TV drops a $2 super chat. Thank you for being here. He says, "Good morning, fam. Kaboom, King need David." So Crispy Bomb, I'm sorry for the interruption on your statement, but when you look at this, when you look at Phil's dream of putting this business together that goes beyond the box, what are your thoughts on this, dude?
Well, let's clarify something real quick, because I've had this argument on Twitter, and for right now they are correct. Right now, if you buy, I believe, the newer Samsung TVs, they're going to allow you to get up to an 8-month free subscription to Game Pass.
Nice.
So that is right now to get them going until Xbox decides to actually roll out xCloud fully. So you have to understand that they're focusing more on mobile right now. So I'm assuming you're going to get xCloud sooner rather than later if we're already seeing this as a full rollout. As far as my point, which I love that I'm next to last and nobody's taken my point. I want to go back real quick, a little quick story about Phil Spencer saying, and I know people might get mad about this, but saying that his competition is Amazon and Google. Okay. And then Apple has always been competition. We're going back when Microsoft first started. Okay. So I don't even include them because everybody should know that at this point. But you are not partnering with any of them. You are partnering with everybody else. And you're putting your hands in all kinds of different cookie jars. And you're saying, you know what? We're going to adopt this from this company that did this. If you remember when Netflix first rolled out, they didn't have their own content. Okay, they used a lot of third-party stuff. Okay, that and then Disney wasn't doing anything at the time, so they grabbed Marvel, grabbed a lot of Disney properties in there. Okay, and they rolled out very slowly, and they continue to lose money, but clearly there's a viability there, or they wouldn't be in business anymore. Okay, so you have to realize that Microsoft is doing things that nobody else is willing to do. They're willing to give Sony, cloud services, because you know what they say, a better Sony is better against these big three guys up here, and they're up here with us, and we're sitting up there, but that's because we're willing to go to Samsung, who's great at making hardware and phones. When we failed at phones, we said, you know what? Maybe we can come back to it later, but let's get with somebody that knows what they're doing in this space. Okay. And they partnership up. And then Samsung looks at them and says, hey, you know what? We're going up against Apple right now by getting you guys with us and having a great gaming service that nobody seems to be able to get right now but you. And then you have to realize that somebody doing that on the phone or on their TV, they're going to say, okay, can I get a better experience if I buy an Xbox down the road?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it gets people thinking about, I have Game Pass right here. Like a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to buy all these games if you have PlayStation, and you've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on games. If you want an Xbox, go buy the Xbox, and then you can go play their games.
Yeah.
You can go play them right away. So Microsoft, a lot of people could sit there and say, oh, they're not on the right. You got you on the hardware now. Okay. Phil has had a clear vision that nobody seems to see of getting Microsoft on his side, the entire company. Okay. And that's with services like Game Pass. You got them going into hardware spaces using third parties like Samsung. You've got them getting ready to release xCloud and getting, having a partnership with Sony and having no problem with it. Okay, they're willing to put their games on PC now. They're making money. You might not see the money. They might not be showing you the actual figures, but they are making money. And the health of Xbox is greater than ever, because at one point I thought we were going to lose Xbox.
Yes.
And when Phil came in and swooped in, he had a clear vision. He got a seat at the table for a reason. And you should be very excited for both consoles. And even PS Now, I think, is going to get way better. And that's because help from Microsoft. Because
yes, well, competition too. And
we're all, in the end, we're all in this together. I mean, I work in retail. I've watched Amazon absolutely destroy big box stores, absolutely destroy them. And you know what? I say anybody against, especially Amazon, I'm good with that. So that's about my point. Like, hey, we're in this together. We're using each other's stuff, and even Samsung's probably looking at like, oh, we're kind of throwing some shade at Sony too, because they can put PS Now right on their TVs. They own it. So
no, I mean, listen, every point that you said was well spoken, dude. I know you've been chomping at the bit to get that out there. You're like, I hope no one takes my point, and no one did. But you know what? I want to bring FC Violent into this. Listen, FC, when we look at this, as the console war shenanigans rages on, Microsoft is going to be laughing all the way to the bank, and with the potential of millions of Samsung TV owners to have instant access to a Netflix gaming type service for a very reasonable price, especially now more than ever with the finances that people are dealing with. This is I'm calling this winner chicken dinner, but I want to know what you think about it.
I haven't heard winner chicken dinner since my PUBG days.
FC Violent, are you there, sir?
They must have stepped away for a second.
Then Chris,
There you go. I think he popped back in right there.
FC, are you there, sir? Oh, he might be having some mic.
Killed him.
Yeah. Listen, they've been trying to assassinate us the whole show.
Well,
they tried to get me early with the water.
You guys hear me?
Yes, now we hear
it.
There
we go. Sorry, that was weird. No, I was saying it's a great idea and a great plan, man. Because you have to think about it. We knew, I guess, when Phil took over, that we knew that they were going to slowly transition away from focusing on just console sales. They showed that by putting their games on PC, and a lot of what Crispy Bomb said, and a lot of other people in the panel, and I'm just echoing that in the sense that there's other ways to basically win. You don't have to lead with the most consoles sold to be successful, and they're showing another way to do that by going the subscription model. But listen, next gen, we might even let's say forecast the first couple years of launch, right? PlayStation most likely will have the most consoles sold, right? Yes. At the same time, if you look at the revenue and the profit, Xbox and Microsoft will be up there just as well with less consoles sold. You know what I mean? So it's like, dang, like you might have double or triple the amount of consoles we have, right? But we also probably make more or on par with you. So it's like, you know what I mean? We're winning either way. Like it doesn't matter how many consoles you sell. And that's what they're trying to do. And it's a great strategy, because if you think about it, like on the Asian aspect of it, right? In Asia, Xbox's footprint there is piss poor, right? The
That's
only
terrible. Yeah.
the only console sold there is from like American soldiers. You know what I mean? Like when they go overseas. If you see 1,000 units sold in Japan, it's because they were in Okinawa. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no, it's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah.
but a way to break through that market without even really, in a sense, trying with the hardware, because they just don't like the hardware, but they like Samsung TVs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in Korea, Samsung is huge. That's just their homeland. You know what I mean? So if you have that on TVs, a lot of people. I have a Samsung TV, and it could technically be my second console. I don't have a console upstairs, but on those days where like I'm chilling with the shorty, and I'm like, man, she's over there like reading a book. I'm like, but I can't go downstairs and play because I'll get beat up. So I'm like, if I could play up here without bringing my console up here, that'd be great. And lo and behold, Game Pass, which I already is subscribed to, will be up there. I could be playing Oreo Minecraft, just chilling, in between periods. Like that's dope. And
Who
it's a
did
great
that for you?
exactly. Phil Spencer,
Phil Dominus Maximus Spencer,
Facts,
soon to
facts.
be Aurelius.
Facts.
I don't want to go long winded because I know we got a lot of topics, but the point is there's different ways to skin the cat.
Yeah, great point.
Because the metric isn't like you don't sell this much, you don't have 100 million, 110 million. That's cool, man. That's Sony's thing. Let Sony have that bag. Or Nintendo has like the attach rate, they can have that bag. What Microsoft's plan is to get as many gamers or people who aren't even gamers yet or don't even know that they're gamers yet to play and access their games through Game Pass and Samsung TVs. In the end, they all win, man. There's different ways to get it.
Violent, I got a question. Isn't that the old metrics, the old, you can say old dinosaur, antiquated way of thinking? Because again, if you can sell somebody air, right? And, okay, let's say you're across the street selling rocks to people, right? And you're making a killing, and I can't keep up with you because I got pebbles across the street, and they're not buying my pebbles, man. But I'm selling them oxygen now. All right, so they actually leaving with nothing in their hand, and you're like, how is he doing this? He's keeping up with me, and then they literally don't have anything in their hand, but they're happy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Phil has mastered that aspect of it. He said, okay, let's just step away. We're never going to beat them in hardware sales. All right, we lost already. Let's just chalk that up. That's when that old metrics is out. We're not giving you numbers no more, because if we keep focusing on the numbers, we can never get past where we're going.
Dave, when you said that,
Yeah, it's the truth, right?
The hardware is going to different. I'm like, listen, Sony's a bigger, stronger worldwide brand. This has been proven not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Right. But they weren't that before.
Yep.
You see, when it was fighting Nintendo and Sega, I remember I was right behind them. Like, come on, you can do it. There was the little engine that could, and then they beat them. Right? They beat both of them. They killed Sega off, and they pushed Nintendo to the brink. That Wii U was a critical misstep, and the Switch's come back to fight back, and that's fantastic. But I remember when Sony was that trying to get to that global recognition.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Microsoft is their biggest misstep. I know they talk TV, but their biggest misstep was not launching worldwide.
Yes, Phil Story talked about that too, which is why they're pushing the envelope. Yeah.
Yeah. So they do that now, and they have to keep that thought across the world, make everybody feel included. Sony did that. They made the world feel included. They were showing worldwide launches in Japan, in New York, in Europe, all over the world, people lining up, and you're like, I got to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So they have mastered that. Microsoft needs to skin the cat, proverbially, not for real, guys. Come on. I don't want Peter after.
I'm glad you said that.
Plus, they had that weird strategy at the time. Yeah. Particular branch of PlayStation was responsible for their own set exclusives or first-party games. Like Sony Japan was focused on their particular ones in their region, and then Sony. And then you had the U.S., which gave us, the Uncharted and all that. It was like, they had so many different strategies. Now it's one.
Now it's one under one umbrella. Yeah,
one mind, one drive, going straight.
Let me answer King there in a sense, because you already talked about like selling air compared to like I have a million rocks, but this guy's selling air and he seems to be happy. Like, matter of fact, he came up with a new Benz. Like, how are you doing this?
Exactly.
They're doing it easily. I mean, in a sense that they have a different mindset and a different plan, man. They're ahead of the curve when it comes to this. they don't have to sell. They don't have to sell hardware to be successful, right? Everyone knows software is where it's king. Now
Right.
think about it in Asia, right? In Samsung and Korea, places like that. They don't have to sell. They can sell Xboxes, for the American troops that's still out there. That's cool, but they could. They don't have to sell into the homes of the Korean markets and the Asian markets, or even around the world where the Samsung is global, just as global as Sony when it comes to TVs. And that boom, guess what? You already have the entryway. You bought a TV, you have an Xbox Game Pass.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, there you go.
And if they get it free, or they get that dollar
8
discount,
months. Yeah.
Eight months for free you get right now. So
it's a wrap. It's over.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's genius if you think about it. It's like, bro, here you go.
Trojan horse. And then you're gonna see all the little Trojans come out at night when people are sleeping. They're gonna get up on top of their little PlayStations, destroying them. Like, oh, my PlayStation's not working for some weird reason. I have no idea. I can do nothing but play Game Pass. Get him, Phil.
Well, listen, gentlemen, I want to say this. This has been a great opening topic. I think everyone had amazing points of views, and I think it was a fun conversation because, again, I don't think that many other shows have been talking about this, and I'm glad to be one of them that is definitely talking about it. But I want to move on to the next topic, and we're going to bring Sony back into the conversation. And in a story that I pulled from WCCF Tech, and one that actually I'm thrilled to discuss, is Horizon Zero Dawn 2's announcement seems very likely thanks to some tweets from the Guerrilla devs hyping up the PlayStation 5 reveal event that's coming later this month. And if there's one lasting title for me that stands tall, that's reigns supreme, if you will, and is one of my favorite new IPs this generation, it of course is Horizon Zero Dawn. It is the game that I've been championing since my days on Crossfire, and you know what? One of the few panel members that took it on the chin, but still gave the proper review of what I believe is not only a powerful IP from for Sony, but it's a fantastic new character in Aloy. But Joe, I wrote this particular topic with you in mind, so we're gonna start with you because I know how you feel about Horizon Zero Dawn, and leading up to PlayStation 5's big reveal, which of course was postponed, and we're going to be getting now. The new rumor is the 12th. Which would be next Friday. And we'll see. There's nothing from Sony yet. I'm still thinking we're going to see it in a couple of weeks. And that's fine. That's fine if it does, because obviously, hopefully by then the world will somewhat be, back to, putting games as a way to enjoy yourself and take your mind off some, pretty negative things in the world. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how that goes. But what we absolutely know is I have a couple of direct quotes from people that have worked on the game, more specifically, Blake Rabosh. He is the He's the quest designer for Horizon Zero Dawn and lead animation artist Richard Aud. They've been talking on Twitter. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I went to go find this stuff, and the tweets have been taken down, which means that this is probably true. But they are saying, tune in, be there for this event. And that says to me that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be there in a big way. And we could potentially, if you remember E3 2015, when they showed off that gameplay demo, people lost their minds, and I was one of them. And you know what? It wound up being one of my favorite franchises. For you personally, number one, Joe, do you expect Horizon Zero Dawn to be there in a big way? But more importantly, what is your excitement level for Aloy's second quest?
So, when it comes to like Guerrilla and what they've done with Sony so far in Horizon Zero Dawn, that Horizon's the reason why I created the trophy room. I love that game so much. I was just like, let's make a podcast about PlayStation. So it's very near and dear to me.
I did not know that origin story. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Oh yeah. So with that, knowing that Guerrilla likes to really get their hands in deep with the hardware, and seeing how Horizon's architecture as you were like, it's the software that they've used kind of mimics what the hardware of the PlayStation 5 is going to be doing. So seeing that they were already using, or at least had this idea of this future tech beforehand and were able to utilize it on the old tech, that's really impressive to see now that they're able to do it. Yeah, you know, I don't want to get the technical term out here, but the tech word is for realsies this time. It really excites me. It really excites me. It's a you know, rumor has it it's going to be co-op, and I want to see. Yes. I want to see most of all like how co-op works in this game, because co-op in an open world game is harder than it seems, and I want to see how it pushes that to the limit. I do think overall this show's gonna probably be in a week or two. I'm really banking on 2 weeks, but like we were talking,
I'd agree.
Yeah, well, like we were talking about yesterday, there's a reason why Cyberpunk and a few others have pushed their date.
Well, they moved theirs almost to the end of the month, dude.
Exactly, and I think that is very much a placeholder for whatever Sony is going to announce on their stage, because there's still a lot, of course, that Sony hasn't talked about, right. And that publishers are waiting. And I mean, like, Ubisoft has been the most impatient one out of the bunch, where like Yves Guillemot has literally gone out and said, yeah, it's backwards compatible. We're working on Rainbow Six right now and we're coding for it. It's just like, it's a lot of developers are getting antsy. This time, I think they understand the reason it's a bad optic to go for a show while the world's on fire. But to me, I'm excited to see what this game has to offer. I'm excited to see the PlayStation event, but in due time. Again, I can wait.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I agree with you. I think that right now, patience is a key factor. I think people will look back at it and on how patient a company was before talking about their wares, and I think that Sony did the right thing. I'm on board with that, but I am more importantly on board with seeing Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Now, the co-op aspect we have heard of, and I'm hoping that it can be played maybe from a side mission point of view, maybe not the main game, because the main game has always been in its original form a single player campaign, and I don't want to, because I enjoy single player games. I enjoy sitting on the couch, just, you know, enjoying the what I'm seeing and learning the story and really getting the feel of the character. I don't want that to be taken away. I know that sounds selfish, but I don't want it to be taken away of being forced to play multiplayer when that could be something as a side mission once I'm finished with the main crux of the story.
Or just like give you the opportunity of going like, hey, here, you can play.
Here's an NPC character you normally couldn't play, but now you can with your buddy.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think they're going to do that. I think that's I forget her character name, but Gina Gavankar, she was in the DLC.
Yes.
And she actually went on record, I think it was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, she kind of put her foot in it, if you will. Yeah, she talked about it way early.
Nuts. So
it's well, you know what? I'm glad to know that you're excited, dude. But you know what? I'm interested to know what FC Violent have to say. But FC, let me just catch up on some of these super chats. First of all, Michelle Alexandria drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat. Thank you for being here, Michelle. Super appreciate that. We also have one coming in from Pixelbit G, another generous donor of this program, who drops an additional $5 super chat and says this: remember when Phil said reach 3 million gamers and people laughed? And I think actually what he meant is 3 billion maybe. And the console market is minor in comparison. Who did that for you? Hashtag the Book of X. I have to say it like that now, otherwise I get yelled at by Smitty, who has really coined that term. Pixelbit G shows his generosity once again with the $2 super chat. Says this: correct billion gamers. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, you see, I knew he was going to correct that. Victor Alistine. Victor, thank you for being here. He drops a $5 super chat and says this: Amazon doesn't need stores to sell same way consoles are the same way. Consoles are not needed to sell software, just like Amazon uses online consoles can do that through streaming. Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's gonna be a very interesting fight nonetheless. Sin Vendetta, my God, my friend, thank you for your generosity, which is outrageous. He drops another $10 super chat and says this: I need to try Horizon Zero Dawn again because people keep raving about it. But I got about 17 hours in, and I was just incredibly bored. Once the game opened up, I'll give it another shot. I mean, listen, I say this, and again, like you, King, I have to, of course, coin this and potentially make a shirt. Not every game is for every gamer, but I definitely say give it another shot. Sovereign Cognito drops a $5 super chat. Thank you for being here, Sovereign. He says this: Guerrilla are the tech wizards at Sony. Killzone 2 and 3 are still one of the best looking games to date. Now, I would agree with that. And Joe Dunmore, hey, dude, thanks for being here, Joe. He drops a $5 super chat and says this: stop making single player games co-op. Imagine the reverse with a game like Madden being single player. Well, I think people go crazy with that. But FC Violent. Yeah, I know. I mean, I play Madden single player also.
I'm talking about the story mode they had in it. It's fantastic.
Yes, story mode was dope. Yeah, it was really good, very well done. Believe it or not. But FC, what are your thoughts on Horizon Zero Dawn? Are you a fan of the character Aloy, and do you anticipate this being one of the big games that they show at the PlayStation event later this month?
Oh man, for those who know me, they know I can't stand Horizon Zero Dawn. It's mad overrated, bro. Like
you're treading on.
Okay.
So for me, first I'm gonna get out the way. Obviously, it's one of the biggest games on PlayStation, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. So it's gonna be a big deal if they do launch, which is great. But for me, man, Horizon Zero just didn't do it for me. Like unlike other people, I do play the games and I'll try it for myself, but I just couldn't get into it. The character Aloy is so boring. Like there's no emotion. Like, and you speak to the NPCs, and I'm like, this is dry as hell. Like I don't get like.
That's a fair critique right there. I'll give you that. Some of the NPCs, yikes.
Oh, I'm like, oh man, they need acting coaches or something. Like this is not it. But I'll give it though. I will before Horizon Zero 2 drops. I will play and try to force myself to beat Horizon Zero Dawn 1 just so I could play the second one. Because sometimes a lot of games sometimes it takes a while for other games just for it to click. Like Bloodborne did the exact same thing to me. I was like, man, I don't understand what people love Bloodborne. This is not for me. And then I finally got past the first area, and then I was like, oh, I love this game. Like now I'm a Bloodborne stan. Like it takes time, and I have to go back and play Horizon Zero Dawn. But as of right now, it's just I played RPGs. I played Witcher 3, which I compare it to. And those games are way more like engaging to me. The characters, first of all, are better. The NPCs are way better, and the side quest missions are like main missions. So I can't stand fetch quests. So unfortunately, you went to me, and I'm like, oh no, but I'll be the only one probably on this panel that's going to talk crap about it. But
it is a game that you love or hate. Like I haven't seen anybody go, yeah, it's fine. It's either like,
it really is one side of the coin or the other. But you know what? Listen, dude. Everyone's opinion matters, and you know what? Again, not every game is for every gamer, but at least you are willing to admit that you will give it a shot.
Of course.
And that you are excited to see what Sony does bring to the table with Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
Let me end on this point. Boom. I'm happy for those fans that are looking forward to it. Again, I maybe down the road once I replay it, but I'm looking forward to other games that I like on PlayStation. So that's what I'll be looking at for the show.
Well, listen, I definitely appreciate the honesty. BitCloud, let's bring you into the conversation. You are our resident trophy hunting PlayStation representative. Now, did you get the platinum for Horizon Zero Dawn? I'm just curious.
What kind of question is that? Of course.
I had to ask. I don't want to make an assumption. You know what they say about when you assume, right? So you did get it. So obviously, besides the platinum trophy, I'll ask you two questions. One, are you expecting it to show up at the PlayStation event? But two, more importantly, how important is it for Guerrilla, but more importantly, PlayStation to show what the next gen version of Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to look like?
So I've been preaching this for a minute before we even got to here. Mr. Babbitt, remember Babbitt? I said it like it was. They said that this was going to be their benchmark This for
Yes.
PS5, it was going to set their benchmark. So this again, I already figured this was going to be shown at their event, and honestly, I think this was going to be at the reveal that they had to postpone, obviously due to the world and the state of chaos that it is now. I honestly do believe that I was going to be there, and so whenever they're going to do their next show to actually reveal the system, this is more likely definitely going to be there. And as far as how important this game is, it definitely is going to be on their top priority. And the reason why, you have to show what that next gen leap, and this has got to, you need a killer app. Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is definitely going to be their killer app. It can definitely be that massive seller. Horizon, it sold 10 million?
I actually think it might be closer to 12 now, to be honest with you. I think because I remember the tweet, and it was about a year and change ago where they talked about 10. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to 12. But you know something, for a new IP, and that's tremendous, dude.
Yeah,
that's tremendous.
12 million for a new IP. And keep in mind, the actual not just excitement continues to rise, but also new interests in the franchise or in this game can definitely be happening too, because you already know it's going
PC.
Yes, so this is definitely that game for them to push for PS5.
You know what, dude? First of all, this is one of those moves that when you look at it, the big picture, not sitting on your hands in the forest, but when you can actually look from the top of the mountains and you see all the trees, you can see that this was a strategic move by Sony, because if they release it on PC, there are going to be people that actually be like, wow, not only does this look amazing, but they may garner there may be a fandom based from the PC crowd, and that fandom, who are the PC elitists, may be like, you know what? Maybe I got to get a PlayStation 5 because Horizon Zero Dawn 2 was just announced, and wow, I love the first one.
And I think also, and I forget what podcast this is. This is not an original thought whatsoever for me, but someone made a great point somewhere, so shout out to them. Where it's PlayStation games being ported over to PC is a great great opportunity to kind of, with the economy in such a, and I like how Jim Ryan said it, is like it's a question mark right now.
Yes, it is.
How long this depression is going to last, and with the economy in kind of shambles, it is a great way of saying, hey, let's port our games over to PC and let's get some revenue there, since we know that these console sales are going to be slow for the first year. And that's kind of a way to kind of stem the bleeding from hardware sales. So I'm really digging it. And again, like this is, I can't wait to see what Herman Hulst does with the PlayStation brand overall, because what he's and his team moreover, what they've done at Guerrilla is constantly push the bar. So I'm super excited. I'm sorry I cut someone off.
No. That's quite right. Listen, everyone's opinion. This is a conversational podcast, so your opinion matters, and we definitely appreciate it. But Big Kyle, anything you'd like to add to what you've already you basically laid down for us?
So they announced this at the reveal, and they actually put the rumors officially and announced, Silent Hill, Castlevania, and what was the other game? It was Castlevania, Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid.
I've been saying for a while that I've heard over a year ago that Blue Point was doing a Metal Gear Solid revival.
So the rest, and also definitely filling that blank, because you already know this is my most anticipated game aside from a Horizon sequel, but 2021, there's a game
Spider-Man
being brought up. There you go.
Yeah, MCU for life, baby.
That's their strat. Or Horizon Zero Dawn 2 day one, and then they go with Spider-Man 2 for 2021.
A lot of tears. It's gonna be a lot of tears.
They were ready. They were ready like that.
It's gonna be, y'all guys are not gonna like me now. This is where y'all get
some big
doing
forks out. Nicholson face from what's his name? Angry Man.
Let's
nodding and everything. Okay, he said 2021. He said okay.
Yeah, well, 2020. I believe Spider-Man will be ready for holiday 2021, and there'll be a Spider-Man special edition console, which I will buy for the PlayStation 5. It'll be my second PlayStation 5 for the generation.
I would like them, if I had a design choice for that custom console, I'm just saying, do a translucent red With
So
the
dope.
graphic, that would be so awesome for them.
That you know what? If you remember back in the days, remember the N64s? They used to come in colors.
Yeah, I do remember.
They had a Dreamcast that was clear. They had the Xbox,
They
the
had
OG
the green
Xbox,
ones,
which
all
I
that.
have. I actually have that in storage, and it works perfectly. So yeah, I loved it.
That's
Wow, a
cool.
translucent red PlayStation 5. Sign me the F up right now, please. Thank you. But you know what, King David, let's bring you into the conversation. I don't know what your affiliation is with Aloy. I don't know if Horizon Zero Dawn is your cup of tea, but in your opinion, do you think that this is not only a game that's going to make its way to the PlayStation 5 event, do you think this potentially could be a launch title for the PS5?
All right, so let me stick to the
Tell the truth.
question. Let me stick to the questions because Zero Snore Dawn.
My guy.
You too much. I swear.
Yeah,
You too
it
much.
is definitely the most overrated game
My
in
guy.
the catalog, and it shows what happens when you have a shooter company make a third-person game. Listen, it's not my cup of tea. I purchased the game. All right, so I got the right to slander it. Okay, I purchased the game. I played the game. I'm a little in the middle of the game. It's boring. I found myself waking up with the controller in my hand every time I play the game, and my feet asleep. So I'm like, I said, "This is
What about those knees?"
I said, "This game is gonna kill my circulation in my legs."
Well, you need those legs. You're a big man, so you...
Exactly. My doctor recommended me to not play it again. Okay, he said, what happened? I showed him the game. He said, "Oh, that game had 4 guys this week in here about that game."
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so for all you guys that are, looking for that game to launch, it's not going to happen. All right, they're still stuck in the old metric. The old metric is we're going to have new IPs in the beginning so they can gain ground, and established IPs afterwards, after we get probably 5 to 10 million, which they can achieve very easily, and that'll launch next year, so you can have that base, because they're going by the old metrics. The old metrics will kill the brand, right? They don't have something like a Game Pass where no matter when you put that game in there, it's always fresh and new.
Right.
They don't have that, right? So they are still stuck on, all right, we have to have units sold. This is the old metrics. This is what they're tied to. And, love it or hate it, this is how they're going to move forward with it, because that is stuck. They have trained the audience to believe in this. This is what the audience believes in. This is what they're going to follow. Now, will it be at the show? Yes. Will it come out then? No. It will be at the show. It will show you what it can do. It's a fantastic looking game. Is it a fantastic playing game? No. Hopefully the new one, they will have better voice acting. They will have more engaging plots, more engaging stories, more engaging side quests. They will have more engaging anything. But, they would have that there to bring you in further. Yes, would the game have a benchmark? Yeah, okay. Anything that's coming for the PlayStation 5 is going to look better than what's on the PlayStation 4. That's a given. Okay,
Right.
so whatever the benchmark is, that's hyperbole. That's corporate talk for it. You need to buy this, right? They have no choice, because this is the metrics that they're tied to. Now, one game that you might say would probably be at launch is Blue Point's game. That game has been in development forever.
Yes.
All right, and it's a remake, okay, of Metal Gear. So they don't care what the numbers on that does. That's going to be at launch. Then you got to say a new IP is going to be at launch. They're not going to launch with something that's established, because they are the market leader. Why shoot your big guns in the beginning? You just make them beg for more. Give them a new IP. Let them salivate over that. Hopefully it'll come next generation or during the same generation. So yes, Zero Horizon Dawn will be shown. Yes, it would show you some fantastic stuff. All PlayStation 5 games, all Series X games is going to show you what the consoles can do, the next generation consoles. That's a given. The show is going to be fantastic, because we want any form of information. It's not to say anything bad about them, but once you're tied to an old metrics, This is how you're going to do business. And their business is tied into the numbers. When your business is no longer tied into certain numbers, then you can move a little bit more freely. That's why you're trying to figure out when Microsoft is going to release Halo day and day. Wouldn't they wait until they got 2 million so the sales can reflect that? They're not looking at that. They're looking at engagement numbers from Game Pass. That's why they told you that you'll be able to play that game generationally, because you're looking at 90 million people eyes. And I don't know the untold millions of people that's on Samsung televisions now are touching this thing, right? So what Sony must do, if the game is a PlayStation 5 only game, they must have those numbers up in order to reflect that to the board. Until they change those thoughts, you will always have to wait for the first 6 to 8 months in order to get one of those top tier AAA games. And Spider-Man will probably come 2022 or Christmas season for 21.
Yeah,
and I'm a Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2021 for holiday. Again, that's just this. Both Big Cloud and I.
When's the next movie coming out?
That's up in the air because obviously
did they even announce the next Spider-Man film?
22.
It was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to start filming this July, but it got, obviously with COVID, everything got delayed. So I believe, they delayed Morbius, they delayed Venom 2 into next year.
Yeah.
So there's next year if positioned
so
properly,
another year we have to wait before we get into the Galactus saga.
Yeah, it's gonna get there nonetheless. But Crispy Bomb, let's bring you into the conversation. Do you have an affiliation with Aloy? Do you care about Horizon Zero Dawn? But more importantly, do you expect it to show up at the PlayStation 5 event like we all believe it's gonna be there?
I can't be like FC and King. I haven't played the game, so I can't call it yawn and all of that lovely speak. I will say this: like, I have obviously watched people play it. It has always intrigued me because the way the game is, it's like a mix of different RPGs that I've experienced in my life. With like Dino bots and. Like even the movement she does is more like a Gears of War type movement with the jumping side to side, like, the rolling, as I call it. It's very similar in some aspects. And then it has a lot of stealth elements. It has always intrigued me. It's been one of those games that I'm like, man, I would think about getting a PlayStation for a game like this. And then I hear some of these guys here and I'm like, I don't know. I will say that, the game has a place. Clearly, it sells very well. It's gained a following. It's a new IP. Awesome. The co-op thing perks my ears up. I know some people have said in the chat they don't want co-op in these, but you should be able to do both. You should be able to have a great campaign.
Well, options are never a bad thing, dude.
And I understand. I get it, but when I'm playing, just about every Gears except Judgment was well made on both sides of the aisle with multiplayer and single player and co-op in there. I'm the type of person that if I can spend, what did I spend? 48 days on Gears of War 4. Wow. If I can spend that type of money, which I don't have to spend anymore, I understand. But if I'm going to buy a PlayStation, I want an IP that I can spend a ton of time on. That is what I'm used to. I'm not going to play through the game over and over again. I know a lot of you guys do that stuff. I don't do it. Like, I don't even play, I'm still like bits and pieces because I join co-op games that I haven't finished in Gears 5 because I don't care to. I really I want to play with people. And like, I just started playing with Flamish Boy and he's like, I'm loving that he's experiencing it for the first time and I get to like experience it with him. You know what I'm saying? And I have to like bite my tongue. And it's funny because I'd be like, oh, you're going to love this. And he'd be like, shut up, Crispy, shut up. But this is something that I've experienced. And it really actually goes back to the PlayStation 2 that I really started experiencing this, playing like SOCOM and stuff like that. I'm still hoping and praying, by the way, that all of a sudden we see something about even if it's just a SOCOM, U.S. Navy SEALs, like, yes. Okay, all right, now you got my attention.
Well, if I could hype you up just a little bit, if I'm allowed.
Ooh.
So Guerrilla has multiple studios.
Yes.
And And the one project that I'm very interested to see from them is actually from the creative directors from Rainbow Six Siege.
Mhm.
So who knows what that
We could be getting a SOCOM revival of sorts, which would be dope.
That would be dope. That would be cool.
Yes.
So there you go. That's my little hype thing.
But yeah, I mean, I want to see them, kind of branch out a little bit. They used to branch out a lot, and I understand that it kind of hurt them in the PlayStation 3 era. They really didn't give you the quality that some people were looking for. But you gotta revisit things at times, and it's just like I'm sure PlayStation now is going to be revisited. They have a lot of things that they've done too early, just like Microsoft has, but they didn't completely fail at it like Microsoft has. So, they can always go back to it and try again. And, I'm looking forward to see, some more multiplayer, at least multiplayer, single player style games that are in there. And, hopefully it comes to fruition and it's co-op.
Yeah, and that's true. And you know what? Again, I want to just kind of walk back my statement. I don't want them not to have co-op. What I want them to do is have an option, and options are good for gamers. And again, another fantastic topic, but we're going to touch on one that's going to be fire. And actually, Crispy Bomb, I'm going to come back to you first because I know this is one of your favorite games, and we're gonna get into it. But I just had it and I just lost it again. Hold on just a second. 108 Dragons TV drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says this: The Last of Us and Horizon Zero Dawn was slow for the PlayStation community, and it was not well received. They dropped the price real fast for both great games. Well, I mean, The Last of Us 2 sold, The Last of Us, not 2, 1 sold very well, and then, of course, sold again when they did their HD remake later on. I mean, I bought it again and played it. I actually beat that one.
So, like, double for the remake.
It's 18 million units.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a good sale. There's no doubt about that. Sin Vendetta, dude, your generosity completely blows me away. He drops an additional $10 super chat. Says this: even though I love Metal Gear Solid, the fact that Blue Point might be making Metal Gear Solid remake instead of a Demon Souls remake is killing my soul. Excluding like go cry in the corner. You know what, dude? I got news for you. Don't cry, because I heard that Blue Team not only has recently hired, but they have multiple teams. And I heard, and I really, again, I can't remember the hell I heard it from, but they were working on both games at the same time, and that would not surprise me. But let's move on to the final topic of today's show. And you know what? What a way to close out the show. We're going to be talking a little bit of Red Dead Redemption. Now, this is a game that brings back so many great memories to so many people.
Oh, boy, the most tedious platinum in the history of platinums.
But you got it nonetheless.
Yep.
You got it nonetheless, of course. But listen,
My man.
as of this
I had
show,
to say it. It's the most tedious platinum I've ever gotten.
as of this particular show, it has been confirmed, and I confirmed this on multiple sources to make sure that my information was correct, so I don't get scolded on the in the chat, or also, of course, in the comments on YouTube. It's sold nearly 30 million copies so far as of this show. Now, if you are obviously a fan of Rockstar games, it is one of their best-selling new IPs. And you know what? In this particular topic that I saved for the end of the show, I figured we'd close out this show on complete fire. And in a story that I pulled from Game Rant, there is a rumor that is getting some serious traction that the makers of Grand Theft Auto are currently working on a Red Dead Redemption remake releasing early in 2021. That's right, you heard me correctly. According to Game Rant, they have an anonymous leaker that has again, it's gaining some traction, that Rockstar Games will announce the new game at the end of this year, potentially. And again, this is just my opinion on it, at the Game Awards, and it's going to be a complete remake of Red Dead Redemption 1 in the same lines as Resident Evil 2 with those types of graphics. As a matter of fact, the rumor that's also added, that part of the rumor that's been attached to this, is that they're going to be using the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine to remake RD1. And look, I'll say this, and again, right from the beginning, let's take this with a grain of salt. It is an anonymous leaker. But I have to tell you, if this is true, it is going to make the gaming community cheer in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time, because Red Dead Redemption is a very popular game. Crispy, I said I was going to go to you first, and here we go. My question to you is this. First of all, what are your thoughts on the potential of a remake with the Red Dead Redemption 2 graphics for Red Dead Redemption 1? Are you as amped as I believe most people in the chat and on the panel are?
I mean, it's been so long since I played that game. It feels like that it would be really cool, because some of these games just didn't look as great as they could have at the time. Mm-hmm. And even playing games like this sometimes on higher consoles, they don't always work out. And Red Dead 2 never gripped me like Red Dead 1. I remember the stories very well from aspects of it. Don't ask me names at this point. I mean, I'm talking. I have had so many games in between that I haven't, like I said, I don't generally go back and play them, but because I don't remember enough of it, now I'm intrigued. It does deserve, I just hope they don't spend too much time on it. We want new IPs. I mean, I understand we games deserve to be remade. It's not that old. It's not like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 old. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I hope it's true, because there's a lot of people that probably haven't experienced the first one and they just jumped into the second one, which, from just talking to people. And I like I said, I did not complete the first part of it. Just did not, I did not get into it. I couldn't, and that's maybe because I've turned into a different gamer from back then.
Potentially. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, and then I found out plot points from people accidentally. They weren't trying to spoil it for me or nothing. And I was kind of off put, because it kind of went a different route. And I'm not a type of person that really loves prequels. I mean, there's a lot of prequels that really screwed up franchises, and made people like almost killed some franchise. Like I thought Gears was done after Judgment, dude. Like Judgment was horrific for me. But that's the point that, people are going to enjoy it. They're going to sell gangbuster. It might even sell more than Red Dead 2. You know what I mean?
It's going to sell a lot of copies, dude.
You know what I mean? It could potentially sell more, because like I said, I've spoken to a lot of people that really didn't like the way the story went with the second one, even though it should be really called something else because it's a prequel. But, that's for, other people to discuss and argue about. Like I said, if I played through the whole thing, I would have more knowledge about it. But the first one is a game that I could definitely go back into and at least have a different perspective on it, and hopefully not get off put like I did on the second one.
You know what? I mean, listen, obviously, I'll be the first one to say I didn't beat Red Dead Redemption 2. I got up to the end of chapter, I think it was 5. I was just about to go to chapter 6, and it fell off a cliff. It just was so. Listen, folks, I'm going to tell you this. I have a brand new TV that is unbelievable. All the bells and whistles. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to pick the game back up probably this weekend, because I've already put in 2 days. Yes, that's right. 40 plus hours in Minecraft dungeons. I think I'm level 65 now. I think 65. And I'm just about to get up to the 3rd tier so I can unlock a few other achievements. But I think I'm going to pick Red Dead Redemption 2 up. But Joe, I want to go to you next, because I know that not only are you going to talk like a cowboy, but you're going to have a lot to say about this topic. Now, listen, according to the leaker, it's a complete remake of the original game based on the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine. But this is where it gets interesting, Joe. It will feature new enhanced game mechanics, like better fishing and hunting. It's going to add new missions. And here is something that they're kind of toying with in the article. They're saying that we may get a mention or some sort of a story added where they talk about Arthur Morgan. And that's pretty interesting. What are your thoughts and what are your hype levels on Red Dead Redemption 1 getting a full-on remake?
Well, by God,
Let me tell you something about that Red Dead. King, why y'all laughing back there?
Oh my god!
Why are you laughing back there, King?
I wasn't ready.
Go crown on.
So don't start coughing again, bro. Don't start coughing.
That's right.
They're already clowning me on Twitter right now. They're already clowning me on
Tahiti.
All right, listen here, listen good. Red Dead Redemption, one of my favorite games of all time.
Facts.
Possibly third on the list. It's one of the last 360 games I played. That's another truth for you. I got to, by God, I think around 800 gamer score, and I couldn't do the fishing or hunting. That shit is way too boring for me. Not my type of speed. But what I will tell you is I was like 267 in the world. I was real good at that online.
I'm playing Tekken 7. You're killing me. Come on, man.
Listen here. I'm just telling you. I was very good at that online, man. I was creaming fools is what I was.
Oh my god!
Anyway, I gotta say,
Pause.
I think I'm trying not to break character here, King. You're making it really hard on me.
Oh my
Anyway.
gosh.
I can't do the voice anymore. I really can't. It's getting way too hard.
That was the best. That is the best. I swear, hands down.
Listen, this is again classic episode. But all jokes aside, if you're real talk. What, I mean, when you hear this, and again, this is a rumor. But the reason why this has a lot of legs, according to the story, is that Grand Theft Auto 6 is years away.
Right.
And we know that remakes are on the rise. We've seen that with Mafia getting a full-on remake. We saw that with Kingdoms of Amalur, the Re-Reckoning, which looks absolutely stunning. We talked about that yesterday. Remakes are on the rise in a big way. Red Dead Redemption would be bank for Rockstar. And I got a feeling that they would sell 10, 15, 20, 30 million copies of this to match what they've sold in the old one.
So I know it's going to sound like a real dick thing to say, but like my fear is that as much as I love the Red Dead 2 engine, I don't want it to be an expansion. Like how, Undead Nightmare was an expansion, was great, but like that's kind of what GTA is kind of like, Rockstar is kind of known for now. It's kind of like an expansion, and it connects people and brings people back to Red Dead Online. Because I'm gonna be real with you guys. Red Dead Redemption 2 it's the same reason why I have so many reservations about The Last of Us Part 2 was I beat Red Dead and I was just like, okay, I don't need another one of these. This is perfect. I don't think you can top it. And Red Dead 2 just didn't, and on all levels. And I know again, it's some people love it. Some people hate it, but like I am part of that camp where like I loved Red Dead 1 and Red Dead 2 was just it forgot it was a game even when it was on the online. Now online could have changed because I haven't played like since launch. So it has. So maybe I could go back and enjoy it, but there was just a lot of things in my way that was stopping me from enjoying my experience with Red Dead 2. So I really do hope that this is just like here it is. This is just I
think it's going to be just that. I think it's going to be a remake of the original. I think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah,
because I mean, you would alienate the player base on the online if you know what I'm saying on Red Dead 2. That people that actually play it. So I don't think that. I think it would be more of more the single player experience.
Yeah.
And that's a goddamn shame too, because I just love Red Dead Online. So like that is one of my, if not my favorite, get like just online experiences ever. Like I love.
I mean, I can understand that. According to you, hashtag creaming fools.
That's right.
Comes into play. So, Joe, listen once again. Thank you for the voice. I hope that take a sip of water. We want you to come back for the.
I got a nice seltzer. Okay. Orange Jasmine by Poland Spring.
Very good.
Straight from the great land of Poland.
Okay. Well, listen, you enjoy that water. As we bring in FC Violent FC, listen, What are your personal thoughts on the potential of getting Red Dead Redemption 1? One probably it is when you say the word fan favorite, that definitely comes into conversation more times than not. And obviously, while we wait for Grand Theft Auto 6, this would be a great fill-in, especially if it's done with principal class, like we know that Rockstar can bring to the table. Are you excited for this news?
I'm your Huckleberry. Yeah, I'm excited. You crazy? Like, man.
Yo,
Red Dead. I was like, you know what? Should I do like Brad? But I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could pull it off, man. My country accent ain't the greatest. But nah, Red Dead Redemption is fantastic, dog. But I completely disagree with Mr. Bad Bit about Red Dead Redemption 2, man. That game started off slow, but that ending and then just the climax to it was perfect.
I heard that the last couple of chapters are bananas.
That game was so like enthralling that my girlfriend was watching it and thought it was like a movie. She was like, "Are you gonna finish Red Dead? Like, can you go back?" I'm like I'm going back to. It's like I want to watch it. I'm like, and she was so involved in it. So every time I play new games, like it's not better than Red Dead. I'm like, it's not supposed to be the same game, babe. You know what I mean? Like she watched from the beginning to the end, and then that emotional ride, especially when you're going. I don't want to spoil it, but you know what I'm saying.
Be careful, Black Lung.
No, exactly. Tahiti. Like all that stuff is great, and Arthur Morgan is the best protagonist I ever played. Like it's by far the best acting I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I so like the voice acting is like Dutch to me should have won Best Actor that year because he was freaking tastic.
Dutch was good, but he wasn't better than Arthur Morgan. Like, y'all sleeping on my main guy. No way.
I actually like Mr. Morgan, to be honest with you. I thought he was a fantastic. I just loved his personality. It's he had a very southern draw, and he just seemed like nothing bothered him.
Right. It made it realistic. It made me feel like I was a cowboy.
Rounded character.
I mean, it felt like I was in Tombstone. Like that is. But let me get back to the topic. The Red Dead Redemption 1, I am all for it. I hope they do it, and I can't wait to play because that is my type of game. Both Red Deads are probably my top 5 in both games, like of all time.
Wow,
that's
saying something. Yeah, that's. I mean, listen.
It just does everything right, man. The only thing, like I'll agree with Mr. Bad Biz, that the Red Dead Redemption 2's online was very lackluster compared to 1. Like very lackluster. Red Dead Redemption 1's online was almost perfect. Like
and the thing is, they didn't need to change a gosh dang thing.
No, they don't. They should have just completely transferred over from 1 and just upgrade the graphics. That's it.
Yeah, and then like all they have to do at that point is also like fix up the leveling system because that was
true.
Because that was way too grindy. And then you're like all you got to do fix the progression and like what was it the Gold Rush or whatever it was called. Like that mode was so much fun and just like raiding like towns and shit. That was so good.
That was cool. But one last thing though, which for all my other Red Dead Redemption fans, how can you guys not like the hunting and fishing? I always go after the big game. Always.
It's just never my thing. It's just
I'm not a big collecting guy.
For a lot of people because there's just so much to do. But it's fun. It's realistic. You actually feel like you're in a real world.
Exactly. That's what it is. Like I'm like in real life, I don't like camping. I don't like bugs. You'll never catch me outside like that. But in Red Dead, I feel like I'm the cowboy. Like it's like how do you say it?
Like, explore.
It's like that immersion that you get. It feels like I was there. You know what I mean? Like especially Red Dead Redemption 2. There's a lot of parts in there that looks like Montana and things like that. Where my girlfriend like she frequents. So I'm like, oh, that looks like Montana. And like me going to the snow and then tracking this big giant grizzly bear and then trying to find these like rare horses. Like it's like I don't know. I can't say enough about the game. The game is great. Definitely can't wait for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I have a feeling that this is real. I understand that. I understand that there is it's an anonymous leaker, but this story is starting to get picked up by other people, and I believe there is a lot of validity behind it. But BitCloud, obviously, you said that this game broke your balls to get the trophy, and that sucks. But I'm interested to know. Even though you had a bit of a questionable experiencing, with getting the trophy, would you be interested, potentially very excited to see what a next generation version of Red Dead Redemption 1 would look like.
So again, this game is the most tedious platinum I've ever got on my list. This shit, let me tell you. It was fun though. I will say that. Listen, the story is amazing in this game. That's really one of the highest points of this story. Is the just from start to finish, you really care about the characters.
Yes, you do.
They really did a good job with Red Dead 2. And they are going to do Red Dead 1 the same way, like this, especially with new engines, recasting, or not really recasting, but just reshooting a lot of the scenes and just doing them perfect. I mean, honestly, I'd be down for it. It'd be cool to see. If anything, I would not like to see in Red Dead 1 is that god awful multiplayer. I don't want to see that in part 1. That multiplayer was just tactical. Hated it. Absolutely hated that multiplayer. Aside from that, though, the single player, it's amazing. I would like to see it.
I mean, listen, I can't wait because that's one game I beat. One game that the ending was it just took your breath away, and getting from point A to all the way to Z. I always found myself really enthralled with what was going on with John Marston. Like, I actually really loved and cared about the character that I was playing. And I'm hoping, man, I'm fingers crossed that this comes true. But closing out the show, closing out this amazing topic, King, I want to get your particular opinion on this. Obviously, I don't know whether or not you did like Red Dead Redemption 2 or not, but do you want to see Rockstar give Red Dead Redemption 1 that same, overhaul graphic treatments and bring that game back in a new way?
All right, so I'm like it between a rock and a hard place. One, I got a cap for the game because shout out to Bill Stillwell, the Great Wall of Bill. That game is back compat. Shout out to Game Pass for having part 2 in there. Now, with my bias out of the way. I'm a great fan of spaghetti westerns, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Tombstone, those movies, those stuff like that. I'm a John Wayne fan. Trust me, Shane, come back, Shane, all that stuff. I'm in it. I'm all in that stuff there. These games weren't really necessary for me. They were more for Sovereign. Lord Sovereign is a super fan of these games.
Yeah,
I found them super tedious to play. The fetch quests are go get my stare and all that other stuff, man. You got to herd these cattle and put them inside the barn and get away from me.
That's really the Wild West, King. The Wild West.
No,
what do you think you're doing out there, man?
I have no problem with it. Like, listen, different games for different people. Trust me. But when I played Red Dead Redemption 2, and I made it a little bit into the story. I got to the stagecoach where we had to rob it and stuff, whatever. And in the town they was coming to get me. The scene of it, the openness of the world felt alive. Now, if you can take that same feeling and incorporate that into the first one, where I heard they have the best DLC ever, and you get that whole package. That DLC with I talk about, it was supposed to be like some zombie joint. And I remember when it hit.
Yeah, Undead Nightmare was amazing.
Yes, they said that's the best DLC ever. Right? If you can get that in there, I can see the market for it. But knowing Rockstar's history, where they take an IP and they stretch it to the point where you think they can stretch it no more, but still add layers to it, I don't see the viability in them going back to undo the track work they did with Red Dead 2. Now, they put tons of money into Red Dead 2. They worked very hard on Red Dead 2. And I think they want Red Dead 2 to be just as successful as Grand Theft Auto in the same distance that it would take for Grand Theft Auto to come out. So I think anything that would happen will probably be a DLC, will be something that will be tacked on to Red Dead 2 to enhance Red Dead 2, where a side story or old quest that you can do that is in the vein of Red Dead 1. But I can't see them undercutting Red Dead 2 in any fashion because they have never done it with any of their Grand Theft Auto titles. And if this is what they put inside Game Pass, and he removed Grand Theft Auto out, and this is their new cash cow that they're trying to get more money out of. I can't see them stifling that growth at any point. Other
well,
than
you know what?
enhancing it.
With that said, what you're talking about makes a lot of sense. But maybe if they just make it a single player experience, they will not pull from Red Dead Redemption 2's online cash cow, so to speak. What do you think about that?
Well, I say this, right? Think about it this way. Why don't you make it a DLC for Red Dead 2?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I suppose they could do that.
And you play to both sides of the fence. You play to the people that will love that enhancement because it's the same engine. You just tack it on. You can play to the already enormous fan base that will want that side quest that would be probably 20 hours deep. And you can sell it for $29.99 and get it out there and also give new life and new sales to Red Dead 2.
Yeah, again, it's a good business practice what you're talking about. I mean,
it's like a two-shaped plan, though. You think about it, though, because now that means that they're probably going to make only one game next gen, and that's GTA 6. And a lot of people have been waiting for, wait for it, LA Noire and Bully 2. Those are the.
I don't think we're ever going to get Bully 2.
You know, I mean, they've been talking about that. They said Bully was important to them. Plus, they said LA Noire had potential, and they really were wanting to do that. But
wasn't it the brother that left that said that it was more important to him?
Yeah.
And he's no longer there. Maybe that was probably the dispute. Like, I want this Bully to be made. And he's like, bruh, I'm making money hand over fist over here.
I mean,
please,
they
don't
got
try to
more
mess it up.
success than ever, especially with like as we wrote, GTA 5 is like the biggest game.
Juggernaut.
It's like the biggest game right now. So that
I think it's sold like over 100 million. It might be close to
100 million.
The only game bigger is Minecraft, which is funny, but I mean, they're totally different games
of all time. Is Minecraft.
And now they made an even more bigger cash cow out of that game with the casino DLC. They got people really spending money on the casinos, like dudes buying those shark cards. So it's crazy. Like they don't even have to make another one. So GTA 6, that's kind of my fear for GTA 6. You already know the heist was like the biggest turnaround for the online portion.
Yes.
Are you going to have that stuff available at launch, or are we going to be looking at the same formula and we have to wait, and then you're just going to pretty much turn the world online wise into what you see in GTA 6 or GTA 5.
Well, do you see it as a business? As a business, do you see it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it sounds great for us, but as a company, as a business, that's not great for them. Now, is already a formula
GTA or for Bully?
I'm not even thinking about bullying. I really don't think we're gonna ever get it. Be honest, I'm serious. I don't ever think that's ever gonna happen. If it does, fantastic. I like Bully. But if you're gonna do Red Dead 1, you can have that as a DLC, and it's using the same engine.
Only because it's Rockstar, it would be made a spectacle. You know what I'm saying? Like when Rockstar releases a game, it is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And I can see them actually making, because you got to remember this, the one of the pressing points of this particular story and the rumor was that Grand Theft Auto 6 is not going to be arriving for quite some time. Right. And this would be a good filler and something that their investors would be into. And if they could sell, again, 10, 15, 20, 30 million copies of Red Dead Redemption 1 on the new consoles with the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine, it is going to make bank for 2K.
Oh, it's gonna make bank. Do y'all see more of the same thing though with this, like this remake? If it does happen, I just see it being more. It's gonna end up turning out looking like Red Dead 2.
Right. See, that's
what it's really going to turn into.
That's my point. Boom.
Yeah.
How many millions?
Like DLC to a lot of people.
How many people brought Red Dead 2?
Everybody. much everybody on the panel.
Yeah, I'm talking about like how many million? You probably like what 80 million, 100 million. I don't know. I don't know the total
Well,
number.
it was 30. Was it 30?
30 million.
Okay, so let's say 30 million, right? So they're looking at the projected sales of Grand Theft Auto 5, right? And they're looking at those sales. They want to achieve those numbers. So if you have an existing base that's of 35 million, and they already know DLC is king with these guys, and they can turn it around just like that. Because remember, when they did stuff like the heist and other stuff like that, the casino and all this other stuff, that continued revenue. If you put Red Dead 1 as a DLC into an existing base, you can pretty much guarantee at least 50% of your base will purchase this DLC. Now you're looking at new sales that will go into that new sales, right, at a lower cost, that the new eyes is on inside Game Pass and wherever, seeing Red Dead 2, and we know that DLC that's selling inside the Game Pass will probably double and triple that number. You're looking at potential sales that are astronomical and giving new life to an IP that they brought back and that they actually invested tons of money in. I can never see them cutting themselves off and doing a one and done, where that has not been their motto.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you're making a lot of business sense. That's what we like bringing you into the conversation when it comes to about the business aspect of it. But listen, folks, we are at the 2-hour mark, and this has been one hell of a show. We got in 3 massive topics. We got some laughter in from, of course, our very good friend Mr. Badbit, who basically was the comedy relief. And again, I think we should get this on the shirt. Creaming fools. Hashtag creaming fools.
You know what I say? I say Badbit and Noof get together and do a one-on-one with Cletus Arnold, and then your Red Dead impression there. Here we go.
It would be his Arnold versus Mark Stern.
It would be really good. But listen, gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. But more importantly, I want to thank the near 350 people that tuned in early for Breakfast with Boom. And of course, I have to say this, and I would be remiss if I didn't. The super chats that have come in today, that have come in almost every live show that I do, are really they are humbling in a way that sometimes I don't necessarily have the words for. So I want to thank everybody who generously donated today, but continually donates during the live programs. And of course, I could not have a show if I didn't have amazing panel members to have a show with. So we're going to start with, of course, our guests, and we'll start with FC Violent. FC, listen, dude, it is always great to have you on this panel. Really, really love what you bring to the community. You are a gamer through and through, and you also are a powerful voice on your own show known as the Vitamin G Podcast. Do me a favor, dude, tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your outstanding show on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, sir. Firstly, I want to say thank you, Boom, again for the opportunity to come back on here, man. I love doing Breakfast with Boom. It's casual. It's talk about games. We shoot the stuff, man. I love it. But shout out to the panel members, man. You guys did a great job. First time with the panel with Mr. Badbit. I definitely liked your take, man. You were funny. Of course, King, you already know what it is.
Yes,
Chris Bomb, my brother, what's going on, man? And Big Cloud Gaming. You're still a casual gamer. I don't care. But like, no, I'm messing with you, man. But you can follow me at FC Space Violent on Twitter, and definitely check out our show, man. If you like it, sub, man. Vitamin G Gaming Podcast on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Check it out, man. We do it different over there, man. So anyway, appreciate y'all.
Well, it's a great show, and I think everybody needs to get more ears onto that program as well. Really enjoy it. And, of course, King David. I mean, what does he need an entrance? Does he need an explanation of where and who he is? No. But we're going to give him one nonetheless because...
Just give him a background with bushes. There you go.
Well, you know what? Background with bushes, but then him standing there holding pounds of knees. from people that he constantly takes down.
Somebody hit Cognito. That's a t-shirt right there.
Yes, King standing near the bushes and holding pounds of knees, which he's been capping recently. King, first of all, thanks so much for being here, dude. Love having you on the show. Love that we are more than just friends. We are brothers.
Yes.
And what you bring to this community is special. But more importantly, what you bring to the Iron Lords podcast on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is special. And man, you guys have been blowing up. You've had some great guests, and your last couple of podcasts have been fantastic. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone, well, not only could they follow you on social media, check out King of Statues, but more importantly, check out the Iron Lords podcast.
Oh man, thank you, Boom. Listen, this panel, I love you guys. Honestly, you don't understand. Like when Booms was like, "Hey, you want to be on?" Hell yeah, Boom. Listen, I Friday, I can't sleep. I'm like, like so I have to still, I have to get the nervous energy out because I still get, the butterflies in my stomach when I'm getting on, because, you got Big Cloud. I know he's bringing the thunder. I definitely, Bad Vic will be there. Crispy. I got Crispy to do.
Crispy in the back of cheerleader. You don't even sit on.
And Violent for sure, brother. 100%. And Boom, I'm telling you. See, you are the reason why people believe in police officers.
Oh, thank you, dude. That's very kind of you to say. I definitely appreciate that. That's awesome.
Because the bad rap that police officers get, my brother's a police officer, and he's fantastic. Okay? And if you want a shining beacon, just look at my brother Boom and understand that he's all that's right with the police force. With that being said, you can catch me on Sundays at 1 p.m. at Iron Lord Podcast. King of the Statues once a week. I'll give you a premium statue in 4K. 60 frames per second. The consoles don't do it, but I do. But catch me on Twitter, King David OTW, where I'm definitely going to bring the jokes and we're going to have fun. And definitely, this was much needed. We needed this.
This was a very light, fun show, and I think that laughter does cure a lot of anxiety. I hope that everyone that was listening enjoyed it and had as much fun as we all did, because we all had an absolute blast. And of course, King, thank you for coming on today's show, but you will be, of course, invited back as usual. And let's round out the rest of the amazing panel with our regular Breakfast with Boom panel members. And we'll start with, of course, BitCloud. BitCloud, I want to thank you for not only being a part of this show weekly, but of course, bringing your humor that we all know and enjoy. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out your outstanding podcast that goes live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. But more importantly, check you out on social media.
Yeah, man. I needed this. Definitely. I really needed this. This was a good vibe. It's always good talking to David and everybody. I already know he's going to make everybody laugh. He brings that joy. But no, that's my brother. I always love talking to him. I definitely need a Morgan statue review. I'm just saying. He'd be slipping.
Oh my god!
Like, why is he reviewing characters nobody even knows the lore for? But okay. Anyway,
I'll get you. You know what?
Everybody knows. Like, nah,
I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to you. Like Boom says, he wants me to do more gaming statues. I'm gonna get to you.
Yes.
There you go. Right on. Shout out to everybody. Bad Bits, Crispy, FC Violent, everybody in the chat. Good to have a good laugh, especially in this time.
Yes.
I know a lot of people had their hopes up. I'm with you. I'm hurting too. But you already know we're going to have to cover this at 5 on the channel.
Yeah.
For those who are interested in following me, again, I'm more of a PlayStation-centric channel, but I keep it fair. You guys see here every Friday.
Yeah.
Even on RGT, that's the podcast we host. It's on the channel Big Cloud Gaming, as well as Twitter, Big Cloud Gaming. Definitely look forward to see you there if you're interested. But until then, y'all be blessed. Most importantly, y'all be safe, especially at this time. Y'all be safe.
Well, definitely appreciate you being here as always, dude. Obviously, you're an important part of this program, and I stand by you, even though some people may not. But you know what? We are brothers, and I stand by my brothers. And Crispy Bomb, you were recently added to this program, and you, my friend, are also very busy, not only on other podcasts, but you are very talkative on social media, and we do love that about you. But there is one particular show that I think needs more recognition, and that, of course, is Retro Renegades, and that is done on Graphic God's channel. Good friend of mine. I consider him to be family. His talent is second to none, and neither and you, of course, are going to be involved in that conversation because you bring a lot hashtag fun to Retro Renegades. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out that show, but more importantly, check you out on social media.
Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the chat. I mean, every time I get on here, I just enjoy. I mean, I'm used. It's like King David's been here more than most at this point. FC. I mean, this is like maybe the second time we've been on a podcast together. Always great opinions. Always love your thoughts. You know, Bad Bit with his noof-like tendencies at some points, and BitCloud, man, being a real PlayStation gamer that does not have to bash another console to get his point across, which I appreciate. But you can find me at Crispy Mom on Twitter. You could also find me on the next podcast tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And then Retro Renegades, 7 p.m. And yes, it will be on Graphic God's channel. Shout out to Graphic God, always bringing that fire graphical knowledge. He knows how to work the I call it the pencil that you use a mouse with, as I like to say. But he always brings it, and the support he gets, that, you know, even though we don't get a lot of people watching us, if you want to have a lot of fun, you know, we're not going to be, you know, this is not, you know, Breakfast with Boom, and that's why I love doing different podcasts. This is more of a bunch of guys having some beers and BSing, and I love it. And we really, you know, just try to have fun, and we're all brothers in the end. And you know, I hope that, you know, everybody fights the good fight and keeps safe and doesn't do stupid crap, because that doesn't help anything. And, you know, hopefully we can come together better than ever by the end of this year.
Well, listen, yeah, and I agree. Well, very, very well said, my brother, and thank you so much for being here. And last but not least, we have Arthur Morgan. I mean, Mr. Bad Bit, closing out the show. Arthur, did you enjoy yourself?
By God, I had an experience with you gentlemen. It was an honor. I feel privileged to be here each and every week. It just, you know, bug out. It feels great. Yeah. So,
well, you know what? Let's bring Mr. Bad Bit back in. First of all, obviously, Joe, you run a fantastic program called the Trophy Room, and what I love about the program is that not only is it PlayStation centric, but it's a positive PlayStation centric program that talks about Microsoft when they need to be in the conversation, and more importantly, you have become a tremendous fan favorite on Double Barrel Gaming, and you know what? It is an honor to work with you at least twice a week. Thank you for being here, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out your show, but more importantly, check you out on social media and watch to see if Corey Barlog answers the call.
He'll do it. He'll do it one day, and I'll feel vindicated. You know, that'll be me. That'll be my win. So you can find me over at Bad Bit Games, where we talk about all things games each and every week. And you can find the Trophy Room there, as well as iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, wherever you get an RSS feed, wherever you find your podcasts. Trophy Room's there each and every Thursday. Me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. This week was a really heavy week because of how real world collides into video games sometimes. And we brought our very good friend Emmett Watkins Jr. over at VGU to talk about the Black perspective. I give my Hispanic perspective, and my friend Kyle talks about the white perspective and how he's been listening. It's a really great episode. I've only gotten amazing things out of it.
It's a very deep episode, but it's unbelievably well done. Well done and well placed, for sure.
And I appreciate that. And we give also at the same exact time a lot of love and credit where credit's due to Microsoft. And Yeah, and before we leave, because this is the end of a very rough week, yeah, big shout out to you, Boom. You are a great example of what it is to be a police officer. That's why
thank you.
You know, I am all about Black Lives Matter, and I also realize that not all cops are dicks. I know a lot of awesome police officers, but I also know that the system needs change, and we need it soon. With that said, there's my statement for the day. That's me getting serious. But I love you all so very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, thanks for being here, dude. And of course, obviously, I'm going to close out the show. Again, this may be campy to some, but it was life-defining for me personally. My dad was a blue-collar dude. He grew up in the projects of the Bronx, which is known as the housing developments. And normally, that's, we didn't grow up rich. We were just above poor, middle class, and you know what? We always had a great home, and that's what matters. And he used to. I mean, again, this is a guy, and that's why I hold my dad to such high regards. This is someone that started. He had 2 kids by the time he was 19, and he made sure that we had everything. And one of the things that he brought to the table was his wealth of knowledge, and 2 things that I think that are super important, more now than ever, and made me not only a better person, but made me a better police officer to serve my city. He used to say this. You say, son, you treat others how you want to be treated. And he also used to tell me, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can absolutely guarantee you are going to have an awesome day. So everyone, have a great weekend. Be safe. Be smart. Don't loot. Let's stay away from committing acts of violence, because that never solves anything. And more importantly, have fun gaming. Take care, everyone, and have an amazing weekend. And we will see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.